This is the address of portal that we created by Liferay and EnginFrame. On the same application server we have installed the Liferay 5.2.3 and EnginFrame 2010. And we have installed also a central authentication service by JASIG to make user be automatically authenticated both on Liferay and EnginFrame. So Rotondo is a standard user. We can sign in to access all the services of the portal. And Liferay recognize the name of the user, and so we can access grid services clicking here. So we are redirected to the Mrs. Bias experiment welcome page, where we can find two pages. One is for job submission, another with job queue. In this page we can find a portrait that can let the user access to grid services by the EnginFrame engine. So from this point we can just submit two kind of job, and when we perform this action, my proxy server will be created by EnginFrame in order to let the user access service and be recognized thanks to the credentials stored. The credentials are stored in the token connected to the machine where this Liferay and EnginFrame, so this portal is installed. So there are two kinds of jobs that we can try to submit. One is it getting input to the next file, and so this we can start by the analysis of phylogeny. In this case we don't need to set other parameters because they are set by default. So the request is EnginFrame is sending the request to the WMS in order to be assigned the job ID, and so the job is successfully submitted for execution. And we can try to submit another kind of job that is getting into another file. In this case we can set other parameters different from default, but in this case I'll trust about default parameters. So, and after all parameters are set, this job will be submitted to the WMS in order to get the results after. Just wait that EnginFrame send this request to the WMS, and now by the job queue we can check job status. We have the time that we submitted the job. We can look at the log about the request with all the GLite job log info success and all the information about the job submission. And getting back to the job queue, we can, if we want, we can cancel the job if we don't want to be executed no more, or if we want, here there are some examples of canceled job, and if when the job will be done. So in here we have some job ready to be executed, but they are waiting that the computing element execute them on worker node. This one is being executed in the worker node, and when the job is completed we can get output. So we can download the output file after the script is executed. So there is this directory, and we have this prefile. We can download it, we can create a folder here, we can compress the file, or we can just, we have many options, and or we can just click to open the output, or if we want, there is some useful features too, as the stream content. This is like tail -f options. When there is the scrolling of the page, this is very important. In case you want to scroll some file, you can go to the top, go to the bottom, start scroll, and other things like that. But if you want to access to general grid service too, there is we can from this other page. So there is a local job submission in order to just to demonstrate how to submit a job. In this case we have the file that submit the JDL to the worker node. So just clicking submit the job will be submitted. So we can trace the activity, the status of the job. In this case is pending, but from the other job list we can trace all the job that we are submitting. Now the job chain is running, the other are done, and when the job are done, we can obviously view the details about the log, so the status, which computing element and worker node executed when the job is executed. But we can access to storage element too, navigating the catalog where files are stored, so we can select some file that we are automatically connected to the computing element, so we can just download and view the file. So in this case, the files are downloaded to the server from the storage element, and after the download is finished, we can open the file and just have a look at them. These files are created by the last job submitted by the Mr. Base experiment, because the job automatically stored the file when the job finished in the computing memory, because of the GDL that tell him to do that. And so in this case, we can access this file inside this directory, and we can just download it. By my data, there is a spooler list that traces all the activities of user activities. So they are the jobs submitted with the standard, the general grid service, the jobs submitted by the Mr. Base experiment. But as I told you, this is not only grid portals, but it is a Liferay portal, so it could be other activities about this user. In my community, for example, we can find a welcome page that this user share with her or her colleagues. In the community, we can find many portals that help a user to share its activity, his or her activity. For example, the blog that he should write, all the activities tracer, tracking system, and there are wiki too, page comments. And on the other hand, he or she will have private page too, where there are many portraits that comes embedded with Liferay on the contacts page, where he or she can check email, for example, and other things like it, or maybe can write a blog, and all the modification will be notified in the public page, or another page for all the works. And so we have many portraits to manage file and what's good with portrait is that the user can decide to put inside this page, because this is his or her private page, so he can decide to install all the portraits that he wants by just clicking at the application and file all EnginFrame portrait to make the user access to job. So while he's working on his or her normal activity, in the meanwhile, user can check job status and all the check the spooler list. For example, if there are web activities too, so for example, this portal is very useful because this portal can trace many RSS feeds all together. So we have feed from the TerraGrid Science Gateway or by the TerraGrid Training and Conference. So this is, and in the meanwhile, a user is accessing this information. He always can check the status of the job, and in the meanwhile, if the job is completed, get the output of the file. Thank you for your attention.